BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor, take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward. In today's episode, I want to uncover the power of taking 40,000 steps for my 40th birthday. During this feat, I was able to have an incredible amount of self-reflection, and it's through many steps in life that I've been able to overcome adversity, dial in on mental health, to take care of my physical overall well-being, and to break the curse of cardiac issues within my family tree. You'll be encouraged by the understanding that 40,000 steps is not for everyone, but it's necessary to understand the steps that we take in life and how it affects us both physically and mentally.
Don't be afraid of the dark. Be careful with stars. Not every light is gonna guide you, baby.
Welcome to the BTB Project, designed to empower listeners to identify their why and to live their best lives no matter the circumstances. My name is Kollman Gearhart, a former athlete and motivational coach. I've had the opportunity to inspire thousands through my story and help accomplish what they are built to be. You'll be encouraged by each and every episode, and let's get into it.
Yeah, when I blow up, I'ma soar high like Peter Pan. In real life, be living all my dreams. If I'm waking up, it's in a foreign land.
In today's BTB short, I want to share about a personal milestone I just had, and it happened to be a couple weeks ago. I found myself in a situation where it was my 40th birthday. Unfortunately, I was stuck at a work conference all day. And I thought to myself, man, 40 is a pretty awesome milestone to be able to get to that point in my life. I feel pretty good physically, been able to have a lot of, I'd say, physical, mental feats that have allowed me to become the person that I am today. So this episode is around something that I decided to go after on my 40th birthday, to push myself, to reflect on where I've been and where I'm going. And I hope this episode will impact you as the listener. On my 40th birthday, I made a commitment to myself to walk 40,000 steps in one day. This wasn't just an act of physical endurance that I wanted to tap into, but a journey of, as I mentioned, learning and self-discovery. And typically when I'm looking at my days, fitness has always been something that's been a huge part of my life. When I decided to lose 100 pounds in 13 months to go after my goal of playing Division I college tennis. And it was in that moment where I started to incorporate jogging and the cardio aspect of my physical fitness, to where I noticed the benefits of taking those steps, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally, psychologically, all things that we strive to make sure that we're at the highest level as human beings. And this particular feat was something that was pretty daunting, because my typical step count, even with the amount of activity that I have with jogging, I still jog today. When COVID hit, I really started to buckle down on running and jogging again. And right now I'm averaging about a 5K, 3.1 miles a day, 6 days a week. Even with those steps that I do on my runs, coinciding with the remaining steps that I do on a day-to-day basis, I'm anywhere between 15 to 20,000 steps a day. But 40,000 steps was something that I've never even come close to. I've had days where I've gotten close to like maybe 25 to 27,000 steps. And that was after teaching several tennis lessons, also after running maybe doing other things around the house or going on a walk with my wife or kids. And this feat was just far enough away to where it was like, man, I'm going to really have to stretch myself here. And this whole process of setting this goal and talking to you today after accomplishing it, there's so many benefits to taking steps to keeping yourself active in life. And I want to walk through those benefits today while coinciding to this accomplishment that I had. I guarantee after this episode, it will motivate you and inspire you to go start taking more of your steps on your journey. And I don't know where that journey is going to take you, but I sure as heck know as we start dialing in and getting finite on what we're looking to achieve in life, that taking steps every single day, whether it's physically towards it or mentally towards it, is what life is all about. And listen, turning 40 again was a significant milestone, and it's significant in anyone's life. For me, it came at this time where I had to be at this work event, this large conference filled with business professionals from all around the globe. And I had this pack scheduled. Not being able to celebrate my birthday with family and friends kind of bummed me out. The only way that I could think of making my birthday memorable that day was to do it in a completely different way. And this challenge of walking 40,000 steps in one day was just that. And the goal was more than just a number. It really symbolized this perseverance, this health, this personal growth that I've had over 40 years in my life. And for those of you who know me or who have tuned in to the BTB Project, there's been a lot of curveballs. There's been a lot of twists and turns in life. Listen, all of us can relate to that. So taking these steps gave me an opportunity in that moment to reflect back on the journey, whether it was playing Division I college tennis, where I was in peak physical condition, serving massive 136 mile an hour serves, less than 10% body fat, could be on the court for hours grinding against the best players in the country, to then moments where I get a diagnosis that I have a tumor in my spinal canal after having a back injury. And I've had multiple injuries, not just my back, but my knee, having an MCL tear, developing bone marrow edema in my hand from excessive hitting. So now I got a knuckle that likes to flare up like Popeye's bicep every now and then. That type of war wounds that I developed because of the sacrifice that I made to be a Division I athlete, it kind of forced me into a new reality of what life was going to be like after my playing career ended. And again, it was during that COVID pandemic where the gyms closed and I rediscovered my love of running. I lost 100 pounds in 13 months because of the foundation of running that I set in my young life. And being able to do that allowed this 40,000 step journey to be something that was achievable, that was feasible. And through targeting that goal, as I mentioned, I knew it would push me out of my comfort zone, but I was determined. And by breaking the day into smaller, manageable goals to get to that 40,000 is what allowed me to achieve it. Taking walks on breaks during lunch, instead of sitting down while I was at a breakfast meeting, I would walk around with the people that I was talking to. Or starting the day at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was able to get a pretty good walk in before the event started. And then finishing my day at 7:30 at night, I was able to find steps even after the event was over. And I just steadily accumulated these steps. And each mini walk achieved through these small, consistent steps, which allowed me to eventually hit that 40,000 step mark. But let's talk a little bit about why walking is so beneficial, not just for me, but for everyone tuning in today. Walking offers numerous health benefits backed by scientific evidence. Number one, physical health, your cardiovascular health. I have this picture in my office of my great grandpa and grandmother, and I have a whole lineage on my dad's side of the family of cardiac issues. My grandfather, who was only 59 years old, passed away actually while on a tennis court in Norfolk, Virginia. He was playing tennis and all of a sudden fell over, went into cardiac arrest, and my dad had to say goodbye to his dad. My dad was only in his early 20s. So I knew that cardiovascular health was going to be important for me to manage, knowing that there were pre-existing conditions that don't favor my ability to maintain heart health unless I put in the work. Regular walking strengthens your heart, reducing the risk of heart disease and stroke. And the American Heart Association notes that walking briskly can lower your risk of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes. It literally drives down any sort of sugar spike that you have in your body by maintaining those levels, keeping your blood pressure down, and helping you sustain a steady active heart rate, a healthy active heart rate, and to not accumulate plaque in your heart. And also too, as I mentioned, running and taking these steps or walking was a huge significance in my life for weight management. Losing that 100 pounds or now sustaining my weight. Walking can help burn calories. A study published by the Journal of Exercise Nutrition and Biochemistry found that walking reduces abdominal fat and overall body weight at least a 40% increase when you start adding steps to your day. If you stay sedentary in your life and just sit for hours and hours and hours upon the day, that you're literally suppressing your body from adequate oxygen, adequate movement. And it's like smoking a pack a day if you're sitting in your chair for over 6 hours a day consecutively. So my advice to you is find those times to have intermittent walks, intermittent move arounds. They say every 60 minutes, you should be able to get up and move for at least 5 to 10 minutes before sitting back down at your desk. And lastly, on the physical health piece, bone and joint health. I talked about my injuries, but being able to walk improves bone density. It helps prevent osteoporosis, and it also enhances joint mobility, reducing the risk of arthritis and easing joint pain. Yes, I know I'm only 40 years old, but after over 20 years of pounding my body on the pavement for tennis, I have certainly felt the benefits of being able to lubricate joints, to maintain bone density by taking those active steps, which well rounds the physical benefits of taking those steps while walking. One thing I noticed too, whether it's on my daily step journey or when I hit 40,000 steps on my birthday, is the mental health benefits. The number one thing I've noticed from it is my mood improvement. That's what walking does. Walking releases endorphins, and it naturally creates mood lifters that can reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety. A study by the American Journal of Preventive Medicine found that walking for an hour can significantly reduce the risk of depression. One of the big things that we're facing in today's day and age, 2024, at this time of recording, is there's so much psychological warfare going on, whether it's between our ears or what we see in the world, what we see in our homes, difficult circumstances, bad days, whatever it may be. Who would have thought that taking steps would drive down a lot of that anxiety and depression, that worrisome mindset, and being able to improve your mood? That's why when you're taking steps in a way that allows you to almost combat what can eat us away on the inside. And that leads to also cognitive function. Just before I started recording this podcast, I got my 3.1 miles in. That's what I do in the morning. I try to throw on a podcast, an audiobook, listen to some scripture, and go on that run. And as I'm recording this, I feel like I'm pretty good right now and sharp in the morning. And I highly attest that to the steps that I take. Walking promotes neuroplasticity. And that's our brain's ability to adapt and form new neurological connections. Research from the University of British Columbia shows that regular aerobic exercise like walking boosts the size of your hippocampus, the brain area involved in memory and learning. So who would have thought that being able to take some steps would actually stimulate your brain to grow, to adapt, be able to take in more information? Neuroplasticity is keeping the brain churning when it comes to what we're learning, how we're utilizing it, and optimizing what we're doing between the ears to have the output that we want in life. Thirdly, the long-term benefits of walking. 40,000 steps was a lot. I remember when I got to the end of that on my birthday, every muscle in my body hurt. Quads, my calves, my back, my neck, my arms. And it made me think, even though that's a complete exaggeration of how many steps I should be taking per day, if I can sustain taking the steps that I take every day, that these aches and pains that I'm feeling after 40,000 steps will feel a whole lot better when I go to 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years old because of these long-term benefits. Regular walking is associated with increased lifespan. You see people finishing marathons right now over 100 years old, walking marathons, sprinting 40-yard dashes, doing these amazing things because they've mastered the art of continuing to move their body. It's the epitome of use it or lose it. And a study in the British Journal of Sports Medicine indicated that walking an average pace compared to a slow pace reduces the risk of all-cause mortality. Think about that. If you just decide to increase your walk speed just a little bit, I know we all make fun of the power walkers. I certainly do. But being able to fall into that category of pushing yourself just enough for an extended period of time, it's increasing your lifespan. It also, too, is driving down chronic diseases. Walking lowers the risk of chronic disease such as type 2 diabetes, some cancers, and hypertension. The Center of Disease and Control and Prevention states that 150 minutes of walking per week can lower your risk of these conditions. I mean, 150 minutes divided by 7, you're not looking at a ton of time per day. You have less than 25 minutes a day to go on a walk, to take a few steps, to have that step count be anywhere between, 10,000, 15,000 steps. And last but not least, as I mentioned earlier, the sedentary lifestyle is becoming a real problem in today's day and age. And that prolonged sitting is linked to increased risk of chronic diseases. And walking breaks that cycle of inactivity, promoting better circulation and overall physical health. And research published by The Lancet equates prolonged sitting to smoking in terms of health risk. 1 pack a day for every 6 hours of sitting. Emphasize moving your body. Find time to move. That is one of the scariest things that when I come across walking and think about how hard it was to walk 40,000 steps, but how scary it is to know if I'm not walking, if I'm not moving on a daily basis, that it's like smoking a pack a day. I don't want that to be the legacy of my life. I don't want that example to be what I'm passing down to my kids. Find time to move. And listen, what I noticed on this journey of walking 40,000 steps on my birthday was the social aspect. My walking goal sparked conversations and connections during that conference with colleagues who joined me for portions of the walk. It was interesting because people saw me walking around all day at this exhibit and they're like, Kollman, what are you up to? I said, 40 years old and I'm going to walk 40,000 steps today. And people got inspired by that. People thought it was cool that even though it sucked, I was working on my birthday, that I was finding a way to celebrate it. And so people joined me and it became almost like a community activity. And that also was enhancing my mood and motivation. When I reached 37,000 steps and felt exhausted, I could have quit. I could have hung up the gloves on the goal, gone home, and called it a day. But I was persistent and driven by the significance of completing 40,000 steps and the potential impact it could have on you as the listener is what motivates me to keep going. Any accomplishment that I've had in my life, I tell people all the time that I coach, I've been able to accomplish everything I've ever wanted to do as a tennis player. But if my story can help someone else, that's the icing on the cake for me. And walking 40,000 steps on my birthday, it just wasn't a physical feat, but it was a journey of, again, rediscovery and inspiration. I don't know about you guys, but some days I just have to figure out what makes me tick again. And the alignment piece and allowing myself to maybe give myself some credit when I have a tough day or when I think I'm coming up short or when I think I'm not good enough. Being able to have something to hold on to, like a goal or an achievement, are sometimes the very things that get us through life. So I want to urge you as the listener to set your own step goal, whether it's 40 steps to the mailbox or 4,000 steps around the block. These small goals can lead to a significant change in health and well-being. But as you're doing it, appreciate each step that you take. We never know how many steps we truly have left in this life. Remember, every step counts. You don't need to start at 40,000 steps, but set a goal that challenges you, that's achievable, and build from there. Celebrate the progress and keep moving forward. Famous Winston Churchill quote, taking steps forward while failing, while maintaining your enthusiasm. That is what I've learned on this 40,000 step journey. Is I've made a lot of steps where I've come up short. I've made a lot of steps where I've been able to do extraordinary things. But at the end of the day, I'm still taking steps forward. If this BTB short on my journey of 40,000 steps for 40th birthday, if it inspired you, do me a favor and like and subscribe to the BTB Project. Better yet, send this episode to a family member, friend, or colleague, and maybe ask them to Let's go on a walk for 10, 15 minutes. Let's talk about the episode together. Let's set some step count goals together. It's as a BTB community is where we continue to change our lives, that we're no longer sedentary, that we're setting awesome goals, and we're going after it together, one step at a time. I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, take care.